For several months now, I spent a lot of time in the deep web. After coming home from school, I would sit at my computer and surf the net until late in the night. I know a lot of people who are using deep web. Most of them are just curious or find it exciting because there is much stuff which is banned. Apart from that, deep web was always a good topic of conversation at break time. Today, deep web has become a trend, but for me, I think it is something else. Deep web fascinates me. There, I'm free. There, nobody knows who I am. I noticed that slowly, but surely, an addiction is developing. Most people call it an addiction, but for me, it's a brand new passion. A deep-rooted passion that awakes new cravings in me. Every day, I get to know a new side of me. I chat with many different people and exchange information. I watch a lot of videos, but I like what I see. But at this point, I should admit that I am a teenager with a small sadistic vein. I get bored very quickly, and because of that, I am always on the lookout for such material. And so I dive deeper and deeper into the deep web. I saw things that far exceeded my imagination. But after a while, even this stuff became boring and uninteresting to me. One day, when looking for the next violent material, I stumbled on a chat. It was a chat room for murderers and pedophiles. I read a few comments and grinned a little. I was bored, so I decided to go with it. I logged in, and off I went. I spent so much time in the deep web, I saw myself as kind of professional and went about it all so confidently, it started to become second nature. I made fun of the people in this chat room. I claimed that I was a hacker, and now I had their data and was gonna send it to the local police. It was a lot of fun. Other users started sending me death threats, but I just couldn't stop. I just wrote one stupid comment after the other. Sooner or later, I received a message from the site admin. He wrote, if I was aware of what I'm doing and if I knew the consequences. I was equipped with the latest firewall. I was not afraid of him. I laughed out loud and celebrated. Suddenly, my screen went blank. I thought, what's going on? Suddenly, pictures of dead people came every second. The images alternated faster and faster. I tried all the possible key combinations to stop it, but it was no use. Slowly, a strange feeling came over me. I was about to get up and pull the plug from my computer. Then, I saw it. I was petrified. My eyes could not believe what they just saw. I was rigid with fear. The terrible slide had stopped and only saw a picture of me. I had forgotten to turn off my webcam again. Someone must have hacked my computer and took photos of me. I stared at this image for several minutes and I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, the image disappeared and I was in the chat room again. I was briefly relieved, but then came the next mega shocker. It hit me right in the face. My picture was visible for every user to see. It rained death threats and hate comments. They wrote everything about what they would do to me and my family. But that was not the worst of it. Under my picture was my real full name and my exact current full address.
100% NutraSweet.
If Mr. Bloodhound used the same code in his letter, we'll break it in.
You're in duty bail. First of all,
Pornography is something that is addictive. They call it the new drug. Pornography is no less addictive than the hardest drugs in the world. When the Rambam wrote in Halakha, biggest addiction a human being can have is to waste seed, is immorality. He was saying it as this is divine information. What happens with pornography is that it triggers a protein called delta phos B. Delta phos B is one of the things that a person in essence gets pleasure from, but it's also one of the things that connects to addiction.
Welcome to your brain on porn. Here are the basics. Porn overstimulated your brain, and your brain changed. You see, being hooked on porn is due to the same brain changes that occur with all addictions. These brain changes are behind your cravings. These brain changes keep you coming back to porn, even if you want to quit. The internet porn is what we call a super stimulus. What that means is that it's way beyond what we've ever encountered. A heavy porn user would view more hot babes or hot guys or hot whatever in one session than our ancestors would need in several lifetimes. So this can be considered another super stimulus. Our brains never evolved to handle heavy porn use like this, and unlike junk food, you can never get full. Here's another reason internet porn is so stimulating and so addictive. It takes advantage of an old program located in your primitive brain. The subconscious program is what got you started down the path of using porn. Internet porn is really far more stimulating than just images. It's really due to the endless novelty and the ability to click from one image to another. Another reason internet porn is so stimulating is that it can escalate rather quickly to more kinky or more shocking material. Number 2. Addictive personality is not a prerequisite for getting hooked on internet porn. Now, the standard model is that you have to have a predisposition. You have to be genetically inclined to get addicted. Well, this is definitely true. But what we found out is that many of the guys who were showing up on the site had never had any other addiction. They were just regular guys who started watching and got hooked. And what's interesting is once they got off a porn session, they returned to their quote, normal selves.
So now what happens is a kid doesn't know right or left, 12, 13, 14 years old, gets a phone, goes on a computer, has free access, goes on the internet, starts looking at pornography, things he's never even imagined in his worst dreams, drug addiction, sex addiction, money addiction, all types of addictions. In essence, this particular protein is confused, thinking now after he saw that him seeing this immodesty, this pritzut, led to a good feeling, it now connects the brain to think that every time he sees this filth, it's gonna lead to good. Scientists confirm that it's an addiction no less than drugs. It all starts with yourself. Rabbi Nachman Breslov Alav Shalom says in Likutei Maharan, person is promiscuous with themselves, eventually is promiscuous with the opposite sex. Promiscuous with the opposite sex, eventually same sex. It's not enough. He wants taboo. By himself not enough, watching a certain type of filth. So he watches some other filth. Eventually he wants to fulfill that filth. It all starts with where your eyes go. You don't start controlling yourself of what you're looking at, eventually you're going to become the next pedophile. People are addicted to pornography. This is what happens. Yirat Shamayim is the only thing that can help people stop. Masechet Yomah, page 29. It says the following: the thoughts of sin are worse than the sin itself. Once you get the junk into your mind, it's already worse than the sin itself. Why is the thought of the sin worse than a sin? This doesn't make any sense. When the sin is in your mind, when it comes from pornography, that sin is literally in your mind at all times. You can think filth all the time. And the mind has no limitations like the body. That's how sick the sick mind is. The thoughts of sin are worse than the sin. You start thinking that everything is supposed to be that way. They start training their mind to unrealistic circumstances and makes themselves addicted. They in essence become much more vulnerable to do it again. Once you've watched pornography once or twice, that's it. You're much more vulnerable to press play again. You're much more vulnerable to be promiscuous. You're much more vulnerable to do bad things. To you it became the new normal. Gemara says after you make the same sin twice, Yetzirah tells you it's allowed. It's easier to repeat the sin when the sin is a thought. Even if he's trying to stop 2, 3, 4 days, he sees some billboard, back to it again. As if nothing happened, as if he didn't watch. Very difficult to do tshuva. That's why the Zohar Kadosh says to do tshuva for wasting seed, you have to do it yourself. HaShem says, if you really want to do tshuva for it, you have to do it yourself. There's a stronger addiction to this than natural intimacy. When a person is addicted to wasting seed, pleasuring themselves in whatever form or another, this, Rabotai Yekarim, leads a person to become more addicted to this than even natural intimacy. Everything that the scientists recently discovered from different neurological experiments, psychological experiments, and so on, already is written in the Gemara. But simply said, the thoughts of sin are worse than the sin itself. This is why you have to protect your eyes no matter whether you're male or female. This also leads to the next point. This is why it's in every woman's best interest to never ever wear a wig. Never wear a wig no matter what your husband says. Because by wearing a wig, forget about the other argument that we've mentioned already for 4 years about immodesty and about the Avodah Zarah, and it's coming from India. Put that aside for a second. Every smart woman will never ever wear a wig. And the reason why, the second you put on a wig, you're giving your husband full permission to look at every woman. Why? They look just like you. They look just like you. Oh, I didn't know she's married. That's why the people that fight for wigs the most are guys. The Shaim. Biggest Shaim in the world. Woman having a wig gives you permission to look at women. It's not enough to be modest with a mitbachat. I need to be superstar. I need to look like the Goyim. I need to be beautiful in the streets, not just beautiful for my husband. More. The guy wants more. The woman wants more. She wants to be more. She wants to not only be beautiful for her husband, she wants to be beautiful for people in the public, so she wants to wear a wig. HaShem says be beautiful for your husband, but she's not happy with that. She wants to be beautiful also for other people too, so she wants to wear a wig. The guy says, I want her beautiful all the time, and I want to also be able to look anywhere I want. It's not enough for me. The biggest advocates for wigs are guys, not women. Women will happily do tshuva for this most of the time. It's easier. But that's the problem. When you're addicted to filth, it only leads to wrong decisions. Someone who's a Tikkun HaBrit should be very careful to protect themselves from dogs and anything dangerous, from weapons. Because he already has a category. He created himself so many demons that are going upstairs to HaShem, telling him, look at this sinner, this Rasha Merusha, that's killing your nation every day. He's killing 300 million of them every day. When someone puts themselves in danger, that's usually when they go to HaShem, and HaShem Erachem. You want to protect your wife? Protect your Brit. When a person, heaven forbid, experiences nocturnal emission, meaning it went out without necessarily him doing it. It stems from klipa of lilis. Our name should be erased. I told you who that is already. Each one of these is about 30 of them. I'm just giving you the top picks. There's 80 pages. Nightmares. Anyone ever have nightmares? Now you know the source. Nightmares usually controlled by demons. Demons are created by that, by Tikkun HaBrit. Many of them. Many of them. Likutei 2, Torah 5. For all you single guys looking for zivug, sometimes because of the sin of Tikkun HaBrit, a person can actually lose his destined wife, his zivug. When he was brought to this world, right before his neshama went into the little baby, Hashem already decided who his zivug is going to be. You waste enough seed, you lower your spiritual standings enough, your zivug is going to go to an appropriate person, which is not you. Tshuva is always open, Baruch Hashem. You bring yourself back up. That's the point of doing this shiur. Hashem knows. Don't worry. He created the heaven and the earth. He'll take care of that too. By fixing this sin, a person will find his destined wife. And on top of that, she will not be rebellious against him. Likutei 2, Torah 87. Why is he mentioning she would not be rebellious against him? Because like I told you, sometimes a person wakes up and his wife is mad at him and he hasn't done anything yet. He just woke up. Why is she mad at him? Because our neshama knows that he wasted seed. Shem Rachem. She can't see, but our neshama knows. It says wasting seed causes havoc in the spiritual worlds. What does that mean? Who's destroying the world and killed 150 million people? That's wasting seed. You don't see the damage here right away. But in the spiritual world, you're destroying civilizations. When you arrive, without tshuva, you'll see. And a person that did it without doing tshuva would know that the place he arrived to is the Gehenom that he created for himself. It's no surprise. Rabbi Yochanan spoke up and said, all those who waste seed are punishable by death. Rav Ami said, it is as if he sheds blood, it's murder. Rav Ashi says, it's as if he worships strange deities. Midrash HaGadol Vayeshev. Rav Acha Bar Yasha says, whoever wastes seeds equates himself to an animal. Just like an animal does not care what it does, so to this person randomly commits this sin. Just like an animal is set aside to be slaughtered and does not receive life in the future world, so to this person stands to die and does not live in the future world. Midrash HaGadol Vayeshev. Masechet Shabbat, page 41. Major flaw of the generation of the flood, as we said, they wasted seed. One that wastes seed, his old age jumps on them, meaning that they age much faster. His strength leaves him, and his eyes go weak. You start losing your vision at a very young age. Bad breath pours out of his mouth. Regardless of how many times he brushes his teeth, he always has bad breath. And his teeth fall out. This is very common in today's world. His hair and eyebrows fall out. And hair of his legs and armpits become thick or become weak. a lot of cavities. All of a sudden, when you were 18, you were a bull. By the time you're 25, you have worse teeth than your grandfather. What happened? You just took a shower, went outside for a half hour because of a little sweat. You sweat like, you smell like you've worked a full day in a toxic plant. Many additional health problems occur. Shulchan Aruch 240, Rambam Dayot. One that weighs seed, heaven forbid, his children will die young or end up as evil people. It also causes poverty. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch 151. If a wife hears this and finds out that her husband wasted seed for a second, she'd probably torture him to death. Touch a mother's children, you're playing with fire. Unfortunately, most of us don't have really Yirat Shamayim. We're scared of men more than we're scared of HaShem that's watching every single thing that we do. Adulthood, for a girl it's 12, and for a boy it's 13, bar mitzvah. Until that time, any sin they make is their parents. Meaning that if the 8-year-old played with a video game on Shabbat, the sin goes to the father. If the 11-year-old girl ate chametz on Pesach, it goes to the parents. There's only one sin that goes to their account, to the child's account, to the boy's account. Under the age, at any age, whether he's 2 years old if it's possible, or he's 11, or he's 12, or he's 9, wasting seed. Wasting seed stays on his account. It doesn't go to his parents. Sharei Kedusha. Person under the age of mitzvot is not held accountable for his sins except this one. As we know, each of the limbs, each of the mitzvot, we have 613 mitzvot, is for each one of our body parts. Wasting seed defiles all of them. If someone is praying a lot, he wants Yeshua from Hashem, wants salvation. Kadosh Baruch Hu, I need a job. Kadosh Baruch Hu, I need parnasah. Kadosh Baruch Hu, I need a wife. I need something. I need to stay alive. His prayers are not accepted. Waste seed. Prayers go into deaf ears. You can pray until from here till tomorrow. Won't make a difference. Meaning you can pray. It's just that your prayer is not answered. So why are you going to get what you want if every day you're killing 300 million of his children? Each time a person does this sin, he causes the creation of a numberless amount of klipot to take the image of pigs and dogs. So the demons the person creates apparently look like pigs and dogs. Someone that dies without doing tshuva for Tikkun HaBrit, they get a gehenom, a boiling waste. I think you're scared enough, hopefully. Each time someone has something bad happen to him, they always blame God. Why am I punishing you? You just killed 300 of my boys this morning, another 300 million of them this afternoon, and you're planning to kill another 300 million later tonight, and you're asking me why you don't have any money? As we all know, the parnasah comes from the children. Each child comes with a parnasah. The Gemara Masechet Nida, page 13b, to talk about this issue and whether a man is allowed to even touch that area of his body. To say no, not allowed. Gemara in Masechet Nida, page 13b, says it's better off that his stomach will blow up and he die rather than him remove the spike from that area that's hurting him. That's how careful they were. In the same Gemara, Masechet Nida, page 13a, Rabbi Eliezer says, it's better that one would tell everyone that all of his kids are mamzerim and get a lifetime worth of shame than touch his private part and waste seed. So it's better that he gets that shame his whole life than waste seed one time.